Hey, hi everybody. Hi, Sydney.
Hello.
Boy, what a day we had today. I'd lost power. And the message I got from Ohio Edison is that we should have it back on by 5. Well, the show starts at 4 out here.
Yeah,
So we were kind of scrambling, weren't we?
yeah, little more excitement than we had expected today,
Yeah.
but all is well.
And I will let Ohio Edison know I'm too old for excitement like that. So, but wow, what a show we have. And you know what I saw when power came on and I restarted the computers? I saw the calendar contest for GPRS.
Yes.
Okay, it's going in full swing. Get your entries in, and Sydney might be able to fill you in on a little more of it. I just barely saw it, and I got a dog trying to break in behind me.
Yeah, we just started it, and you can submit your photos. You can vote for other dogs. Have your friends vote for your dog to be the calendar boy or girl. And it's a really fun way for us to raise funds to help rescue dogs.
And the winner will be the cover girl or boy, whoever.
Yep. Yeah.
And I know something you don't know, Sydney. While the timer was playing, I got an email. I got the results. Chris did. He sent it to me. The results of Winky's DNA.
Ooh, exciting.
It doesn't surprise me, but it might surprise some other folks. Okay. I was suspicious. So anyway, on with the show.
Yeah.
We got calendars out of the way. Roman will be here later. And we got puppies. And Chris doesn't know this part because there was a little technical glitch. So you're going second, Chris, just so you know. And we got Helena and some puppies. She came out of Greenville, Texas shelter. And they're in foster homes now. And, we got a little video for them, and we'll bring them up while the video's playing.
Yeah.
Wow. And looky here, we got puppies.
A plethora of puppies.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are y'all doing?
We're doing pretty good. I love puppies from 1,000 miles away. Wow. Well, so you take over, Sydney, because I just want to look at the cute puppies.
Yeah. So it looks like they're walking pretty well now. And we've got 2 awake, 2 asleep, which is perfect, actually. Helps it easier to focus on. So are these the 2 that often play together?
Yes. So This big old chunk right here is Mr. Humphrey.
Oh.
No, sweetheart, this is my love bug. I have to say. This is my love bug. Yes.
Oh, kisses.
He is always so ready for me to just pick him up, scoop him up. He will quite literally sit here and wait for me to pick him up and give him a snuggle.
Wow.
Other than the fact that he is the biggest, Humphrey has 2 little white dots on his back. I don't know if you can
Okay.
quite see him in the camera. I know you can see his.
I never did see them.
Yeah, I can see
One
one of
right
them.
below it.
Yeah, they're a little bit faint.
Yes. But this is our big boy. He was the biggest coming out of the shelter, and he has remained in first place in the heavyweight class.
First place in heavyweight. I love it.
Cute.
And my other little rascal running around here, this is Hilary. Now,
Oh,
Hilary only has 1 little white dot in her back.
Okay.
now that one I saw, but I didn't. I never saw the second one on the other one on Humphrey.
Yes. And she has not a full white collar around her neck like Humphrey does. She has a little half that goes down into her arm. And she is my little spicy girl. Be fully honest. She is the one that always lets me know when they're ready to eat. If I am but 2 minutes late, she lets me know that she is ready to eat.
And
Now,
I think we saw in some of the photos that you sent us, she's the one that she was like, woo woo. You could see you could see she was vocalizing the most. She's very confident.
Yes, she is. She was actually the first one to start howling and doing the little baby snarls.
Oh, funny.
now they just had a birthday, didn't they?
They did yesterday on Saturday. We turned 4 weeks old.
Okay. Well, 4 weeks, so they're not ready for adoption yet, are they?
No, not quite yet. We are halfway there.
Mom's not ready yet.
No, definitely not.
And now they're still nursing with Helena.
Yes, they are. They're pretty much fully nursing. We have started introducing like puppy gruel, and they sometimes eat it, sometimes don't. We're in that kind of in between stage of them trying to fully just sit and have a meal with it.
Sounds like you know what you're doing with puppies.
I try. I actually got my start with baby goats because I'm an agriculture teacher. So I've had baby cattle, I've had calves, I've had baby goats, I've had baby chicks, I've had baby ducks, you name it, except for horses. No horses.
All right.
Not a baby horse.
I'm gonna bring Roman up so he doesn't get lonely down there. I figured he'd bring himself up, but he didn't do it. Hi, Roman.
Hi there. How you guys doing?
Roman's a world-renowned, worldwide behaviorist, and Pyrenees expert. And he was born speaking dog. Okay. That's the only way I can explain it. But anyway, now he's going to discuss senior dogs today. That's his topic.
Yeah. So Jessica, the two were sleeping very peacefully right now.
Yeah, don't disturb them.
The one in the back is Hope. Is that right?
Yes, this is Hope right here closest to the wall.
Yeah.
Hope actually is the fluffiest out of the whole bunch. She has the most hair. And yes.
She has the most white too, doesn't she?
Yeah.
The
There's almost equal parts white and black. Yeah.
Yes. And you can't really tell from that picture because it's a top view, but on her hip, one of her black spots is actually in the shape of a heart. It looks kind of like a heart. When you
so cute.
And where's that at?
It's actually on the underside of what she's laying. It's on her left
Do
hip.
I have a picture? If I do, I probably don't.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember seeing a picture.
I don't think we do.
I don't know.
But anyway, so anybody did you get any indication what the mix is?
You know, we've thrown some ideas around here in the house as to what we think, but we're not really too sure.
They're awful young.
Yeah, they're still pretty small, so they're just a bunch of round blobs.
The first thing that popped in my head was Border Collie.
That's one of the big names that we've thrown around because we have a border collie, and she has that exact white stripe right down into her nose. With
the marking.
the black markings across their eyes, because all 4 of the babies have it. They have
Right.
the
But there's
black.
other breeds that have that also.
I'm sorry?
There's other breeds that has that racing stripe too.
Yeah.
The Caracachian has the racing stripe, but I doubt that's what's in there. Wow. Now, when will they be available for adoption?
They will be available for adoption in about 4.5 weeks, hopefully.
Okay.
We are
Providing
ready-
they can get all their shots, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, all
Yeah.
our puppy shots.
Yeah,
And
rescues are pretty picky about that.
yes. And for good reason. For
Yeah.
very good reason.
And the other thing is, the rescue makes sure that they're spayed and neutered before they go to their forever home. So, even though they're young, they will be spayed and neutered before they go to their forever home.
Right, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And well, oh, it looks like the other 2 woke up
Humphrey's
Because-
trying. He's trying.
because Humphrey made
Yeah.
sure they couldn't sleep.
Humphrey said, "Get up." He said, "We're live." He said, "We're live."
Oh, look at the belly rubs. So,
yeah, that's so cute.
is Mom a good mom? Is Helena a good mama?
Yes, absolutely. Especially seeing how young she is. It just amazes me how she can just be so calm. And there's my hope.
There she is. There's hope.
There's my hope.
Look at all the Great Pyrenees trying to come through on that puppy, Roman. Look at all that white.
There's her little
Yeah.
heart right there. You can
Oh yeah.
She
Look at her heart.
definitely also is big. Like, I can just tell that she's pretty big.
But I like Humphrey. Humphrey's my favorite too, but for a different reason from you. He didn't have a name. He was the last one to be named.
He was.
But
And-
she's good looking too.
She is just an amazing little girl. She was actually the smallest when I got them out of the show.
Oh, wow.
She was the smallest girl. She was the last to open her eyes. And for the first day, we really kind of worried about her because of just how much smaller she was from
And
the other.
how much did they weigh when you got them?
So everybody, Humphrey was the biggest at 1/8 of a pound. Or yes.
Eighth of a pound.
Yeah.
Isn't that a little underweight?
Or 8 ounces, I believe.
Okay. Isn't that a little underweight?
I believe, yeah. Because they were tiny.
Shelters aren't equipped to handle newborn puppies.
Especially the shelter that they were rescued from. They were
Yep.
definitely not equipped to handle puppies and a
Right.
first-time mom.
But anyway, so wow. Where is Mama?
Mama is on her pillow. I think, Christina, do you want to wake her up? She is passed out.
We
Yeah.
do. So we do have a question from
Okay.
Lori. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
She's asking what the mix is because of their coloring, which we're not quite sure, but maybe some border collie. But they're only 4 weeks old, so it's a little hard to tell because they're just a bunch of little red lobes with legs. So
Yeah.
right now.
And Amber's just hit the nail on the head. They're cute puppies.
They are.
Yeah.
Yep. So
All right.
wow. Now we
Here-
do know there's Great Pyrenees in there because
Yes.
of Mama.
Yeah.
Yes.
For those of you who can hear me, I'm Christina. I'm Jessica's big sister. I help a lot with all the puppies. I will say this though, in some cases, there are some Pyrenees who can be black and white. So they could be mostly Pyrenees, but they could be mixed with something else. But in some cases, Pyrenees can be black too.
Mixes
Okay.
can, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mixes would create that.
Yeah. All right. While Jessica's gathering the puppies, I'm gonna go grab Mama.
All right.
Give me Humphrey.
So I'm curious to see how they respond when they get to see their mama again, because they're still only 4 weeks old.
Yes. We love Mom. We
And I'm
love.
surprised you don't have a lot of separation anxiety going on right there, right now.
No, she's actually, that was something, because she is very young. We don't know exactly how old she is, but it is quite obvious that she's very young. And when we very first got her out of the shelter, there was a lot of that separation anxiety. And as far as even being a couple feet away from him, she would get very anxious. And now that they're bigger, I don't know if it's because they have teeth and it hurts when they nurse or what it is. But she's just gotten so comfortable with going and laying down on her pillow and taking a good nap. There's come here, baby.
Well, and
Lori,
she's at a place where she can trust you, and she knows that you take good care of them too. I
Yeah.
mean, that's part of it. There's lots of
wow,
sleep.
look how beautiful
Look at her
she
beautiful
is.
tail.
Wow, she's gorgeous.
She said, "Where are my peanut butter crackers?" She loves peanut butter crackers. There we go. Come here, Mama's.
Oh,
Here, I'm gonna slide over.
Oh, and somebody's hungry.
Always, we're always gonna eat. Always.
Does she cover herself up? Oh, never mind. That different species. Sorry. Boy, they're really going. They're hungry.
Yeah, and especially seeing that we just ate about, what time is it? It's 3:17. We ate about 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago.
Well, yeah, they're going to be hungry. That's you got to remember at that age, that's like 30 or 40 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you think, Roman?
I'm gonna
Lots
flip
of
over
puppies.
to the other side so you can see her pretty face.
They look like puppies. You're right. So now, what about Helena? When will she be ready for adoption?
Well, we are not.
Obviously, she's busy right now.
Yeah. She is a bit busy right now. And once she's nursing, we will continuously make sure that she's all up to date on her shots and everything else. And per our rescue, she will need to be spayed before she's available for adoption.
Okay.
So we're not fully sure on what that timeline
Well, it
looks.
might be a little bit.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Okay.
around 8 to 10 weeks because she's got to get through nursing. Then she's got to do all of her stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you two aren't actually the fosters. Somebody else is actually the foster, right?
Yes. Our mother is the foster.
So she actually went to extremes and left town so she wouldn't have to be on camera?
You know, I'm glad you said that. I might bring that up to her. But in being fully honest with you, it's really more as I'm comfortable in front of a camera. My mom, she loves to talk and she's an amazing foster. But my mom always said that everybody in our house has a strength. And sometimes she says mine is being kind of like a car salesman.
And that's okay. She's allowed not to like to be on camera. That's fine. Because she's got a couple daughters that don't have any problem with it. So that's fine too.
Helena has a very elegant face.
She
She
sure
is
does, doesn't
a
she?
beautiful girl. She is
She
just
is
a
gorgeous.
beautiful mama.
She looks like a pocket pear. You're sitting down and she's still not taller than you.
Yeah.
Yes.
How big do you think she is?
Well, we just weighed her yesterday, and she was 59.2 pounds.
Okay.
Which, when we got her out of the shelter, she was, I believe, 52 pounds.
Now, refresh my memory if it was asked. How old do we think she is?
You know, we are judging. We're thinking right about a year. We're
So
thinking
a baby did have babies.
We're thinking just about a year old. The story that we were told from the shelter was that she was adopted because she was a stray, and then whoever adopted her realized that she was pregnant and took her back to the shelter.
Okay.
Is what we were told.
Wow.
Oh boy.
I don't know how true that is, genuinely, but I know one thing for certain, and this is the sweetest girl. And I mean,
it's
I
one
know
of those who didn't want this dog.
exactly, right? Especially seeing that when she's not, doesn't have a whole bunch of puppies attached to her.
Wow.
But one
Hey,
of her,
Jessica, really appreciate you coming on. We're gonna have to move on down there to Mr. Chris down there.
all right,
And,
thank y'all so much.
But you did say that you'll keep the camera on the pups, and we'll get to see them, and or maybe your sister will come in and sit with them, and in case they all run away and follow you. So, anyway, you have a great day, and thank you for doing this for those dogs. They wouldn't have had a good outcome.
No, thank y'all for having us on. We were so excited. And Helena says, I love you. Thank you.
And we want to have you back when they're
Yeah.
ready for adoption.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, so all right. Well, I'm going to make everybody same size again, and you'll be when Winky comes up, you'll be off to the side. Unless you want me. Well, you guys can move around. You're not shy. Now, our next dog coming up is a rags to riches story on behavior. Okay, so that she was struggling when the foster first brought her home, and he decided on a direction and he stuck with it. And this is a different dog now. I'm trying to find her video. Oh, I'm up in pictures. There we go. And we're going to play her video, and we'll bring them up, and while the video's playing. Hey, hi Chris, how you doing?
Man, what a couple of months makes a difference.
Man, last time I saw you, you were still struggling with her.
I used to have jet black hair. I was so stressed out with the dog. And
yeah, he
based
used to
on
have
what
dark hair.
what Roman and you talked to me about, and what he shared last time we were on Roman, I got firm with her, provided structure for her, and now she probably won't get up because she puts her head on one of my feet and just lies there. And so, if I don't mess with her, she's a golden girl.
Roman's the best.
So,
wow.
So for those people that don't know, Winky is about an 85-pound Great Pyrenees mix. And
okay, now let's talk about that mix.
Well, it's Italian sheepdog.
Interesting.
Maremma
I took a
Sheepdog
picture.
and Great Pyrenees. So where did the different color eyes come from?
Me no say. No,
The
hablas
dog
inglés.
scanner only picks up 2 breeds. It's not interested in anything else. Okay. So there's probably sled dog in there somewhere.
However, when we walk on the video that you showed, she tends to want to get in front of my dog, the what we
Mocha.
call the other foster that we kept from, he's been here 15, 18 months now.
Is that Mocha?
He's about 100 pounds. And he was also from the same foster out of Houston.
Now, don't take this the wrong way, but I want people to see this.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's all.
Let's put it this way. My wife and I took 4 puppies up, not those puppies, another set of puppies that went through, they went to the doctor or the vet to get spayed or neutered. And I purposely brought my wife up on it. And she's like, why do you need me on the trip? I said, oh, I just need an extra set of hands. And they put 2 in each crate, and my wife just went crazy. And she's like, oh my gosh, these are just cotton balls.
Now,
And
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, she was just crazy on the cotton ball.
Right.
Now, Winky is her own cotton ball in her own way. She, when she first came, she was very quiet, pretty, what we'll say aggressive.
Tail tucked.
Yeah. And now she is vocal, and she has this, it's not a growl. It's like, I want to be noticed growl. And she'll talk to my wife and I that way. And it's the funniest thing. We're like, girl, are you talking to me that way? Right. And she loves to be pet. She loves her walks. She will be a pain in the bottom she'll come to my bedroom and get in my face and walk out, walk in, walk out, walk in. And so I'm like, okay, let me get my shoes on and my clothes on to go for a walk. So typically we take at least a 3/4 mile walk up to 2.3 miles on any given day. Typically we walk early morning or late at night because of the heat here in Texas and how blacktop and concrete can use walls. She is great on the leash. You saw I have 2 dogs, about 200 pounds of dog there, and it's the funniest thing. People will cross the street, and I'm like, "Why are you crossing the street?" I'm holding my dogs on a leash like this, like it's a dangerous dog. And then they come over and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know." I said, "Just because of the size." And I have one guy down the block who's building a home, and he and his wife came up. His name's Sid. So if I send this video to Sid, he'll know. And he's like, "Man, I love your Winky." And I said, "I know, isn't she great?" And whenever she sees him, he is one of the few people he actually, when she comes up, she'll see him and then jump on him.
So is he going to adopt her?
Well, I'm working on it. They're
Good.
just putting up the house, building their house, but they got to put the fence around the house. And I said, "Dude, you get a fence, the dog's yours." And he goes, "Man, I really like your."
Because she needs a fence, doesn't she?
Oh yeah.
How old is she?
About 2.5 years old.
2.5. So does she need another dog there in a new home or not?
It's really funny. At first, I didn't think she would. Now with her in Mocha, I think she would do well. Even though she's not she's trying to be playful with Mocha, but because of the beginnings of her and Mocha interactions, Mocha's more standoffish. So it's only been since mid-February.
Yeah, he could easily get over that.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. Absolutely, that over a course of time. But now she drops on the ground and pops back up, drops on the ground and does that tail thing. And he looks at her and goes, and just walks away. And she's like,
"So does he not know how to play?"
Oh, he knows how to play because when we have our other dog, Matilda, we have videos of them.
Matilda, that's when you were on the show last time.
Uh-huh. So he does. And also Winky's very good. We have 2 cats and she's, tries to be friendly to them. The cats aren't as friendly to her. We have one of our cats, Milo, he popped in the face a couple of times, but he's clawless. And he's 11. And it was kind of funny because he beats up on her real quick and no one got hurt. Then she is dominant over Mocha and Mocha's dominant over the cat. So this full circle of dominance. I'm like, whatever. I'm just like, I just feel I just feel.
Yeah,
and my
stay
wife
out
said,
of that one because it might not be dominance. But go ahead anyway.
no, it's just funny. It's just
Yeah.
funny. But she's great to walk.
What about
And,
kids?
Well, my kids are older, but every child she has met so far, when we go walking, she's been nothing but great. No growling, no funny movements.
But that
nothing.
one person that she knows, she jumps up on him, and that could knock a child down, a younger child. If she did that.
Sure, but I've walked her in front of children from, we'll say, from 5 to 15. He is the only person she's jumped on. That, my wife. That's it. Those two people.
Okay, so there's them too. So there can be more, but we're just not going to put her in that position. It's just the position she's put in. Wow. You have any questions, Sydney?
So now that you've had her, so how long have you fostered her? Let's start there.
So we got her on like February 8th of this year.
Wow. It's been that soon, that recent?
So almost 4 months.
Correct.
Yeah. And when did you see her kind of turn the corner? Like, how long had you had her when she started to like turn a corner and
About 2 months.
respect boundaries? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but time wasn't time isn't what it was. It was you're
structure.
working with her.
It was the structure and me showing, and never mean to her. It's like we don't growl at Mocha. We don't jump at Mocha. We don't do that, right? And it's being that firmness and petting her while that, like what you're doing, Sydney, type deal, right? So it's
Kindness.
It's really funny because it happens now for some stupid reason, one every 200 interactions, where before it was every like 20.
Wow.
So it's really spread out.
Yeah.
And what does she do?
Well, typically a lot of times it's, if we're in a space I showed you between my back door, my family room to my back door, if I'm interacting with her and then Mocha wants to go by, she's like, I'm the gatekeeper. No one gets by me. And that's where she gets a little defensive there. And I'm like,
and depending on the distance, he could be an intruder if he's not invited.
Correct. Especially if I'm interacting with her. Yeah. Right. And
now you can invite him, and wouldn't that make it all good?
Yes.
Okay, so you do have that attachment with her. That
yes.
She's good if you do the invitation. Awesome.
And she follows me around the house. If I'm in the bedroom, she's in the bedroom. If I come out, literally, if I'm on the couch, she'll be on the ground on the couch. If she could, she'd jump on the couch, but my wife's no way. So
and there's nothing wrong with that. That's reasonable. But you know what the best part about this is? Look at all this information you have to give to the adopter now.
Right. So she, and it's really funny. We keep the dogs a lot of times out back because we have a sizable backyard here in Houston, with shade trees and all that stuff. And they get their little spot and they do their thing. And it's the funniest thing that we never have an issue, or 9 in 10 issues were in the house. 1 issue or 2 issues were outside the house. And it's kind of, where the dynamics occur.
During these issues with Mocha and Winky, did anybody ever get injured?
No.
Imagine that. It wasn't an altercation, huh?
Yeah, well, are you talking the dogs? No, but Winky grabbed her tag and bent it, so he doesn't want to bother her because in his mind,
how dare her bend his tag?
And if I bend, because for him, if I bite her, it means the tag, and that hurt him, and so he's like, I don't want to bother with her.
Or maybe they're not lethal breeds.
Okay, I'm still newer to the breed, so unless you're a wolf or a squirrel.
Their first line of defense isn't to maim or kill; it's to intimidate and communicate.
So,
and since they don't have our vocal cords, to us it can sound like World War III starting.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what my wife said. So the first couple of days, this is our third foster dog, and each of them foster dogs are like fingerprints. Everyone's different.
Well, everyone's different. Yes.
So the first one we had Louise. She came in, not a big deal. We brought her in. She hooked up.
Hey, you're going to go little for a second, Chris.
Okay.
Well, you keep talking. We can hear you.
with Matilda, the same thing. We brought in Matilda. She was more timid, but great with Mocha. And then with her, when we brought in Winky from headquarters, I had brought him up there to meet her because I want to make sure. And they got along great. And then we got here, all of a sudden the dynamics changed a little bit. And at first we're like, did we make the right choice? And through your guidance and also listening to Roman that week, it was like, hey, be firm, be loving, be caring, be firm, and give him space and let him transition.
Well, yeah, firm has a definition that goes with it, but he did a good job. I mean, you listened, you comprehended, and you achieved. Nice work, Chris. Nice work.
Well, without my family, it would have been a lot tougher. But she's a great dog.
She's a different dog now.
Back to your question is, would she be good with another dog? I think she'd be great with another dog.
Okay.
She won't be bad with a cat.
Cool.
I would probably with her though be a dog close to her size, if not bigger.
Okay. How do you think she'd do with a coyote or a wolf or something like that as a pet? No, never mind.
My money's on
pretty soon.
On Winky. So
how much did you say she weighs?
She's around 85 pounds.
That's what I thought you said.
She's full figured.
Yeah, she's good looking.
So she does wolf down her food. She's a wolfer. Okay. Where Mocha is a grazer. So we can put his food out and he eats it when he wants. With her, we had to separate him for eating. And if he didn't eat quick enough, we knew he was going to eat. We'd pick up his food, let her go outside, bring him back inside, and let him eat. And then if he didn't eat again, we put it up until a later date from that standpoint.
Now, go ahead, Roman.
I want to add, do not trust the recommendation of feeding on the bags.
Right.
Guardian breeds have a different, missing the word now.
If you feed with an amount
metabolic system,
yeah,
they burn more, especially when they're working, especially in the winter, especially in the summer. So we need to give more food, more nutrients. So some foods, I'm not going the aisle down of bitching about dog food, but we're not looking for ingredients. We're looking for available nutrients.
Calories.
Right? No, nutrients, no calories.
Okay.
Calories you can get from crap, but having healthy ingredients, locally sourced, humane raised, and not any additives gives more nutrient availability than a kibble that you get off the shelf in the supermarket. It makes a huge difference if the dog is hungry nutritional, even if it has a food bowl. So it seems to me that if she gets stressed, she's going to eat more, she's going to need more. It's not because she's a Pyrenees and both have to have the same food. She needs eventually more food. I would add some tallow fat on her menu, maybe a spoon for lunch, make more meals rather than giving more food.
Mm-hmm.
That would give her blood sugar a bit flatter, so she's not so hungry getting the food down.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take the tallow that we use.
We had a request, an internal GPRS request here a couple of weeks ago about doing a show, and Roman's and or Levi, whoever, or both, topic is canine nutrition. Reno would like to see that covered as a topic. How cool is that?
Okay. I'm
I was thinking about you and Levi because you guys are kind of on the same page. And but we'll see. Levi's in Alaska. He may not be able to.
So I want to point out, because I see a lot of posts here in the comments about slow feeders. I do not recommend slow feeders.
Neither do I.
The reason why is, imagine you're hungry and thirsty and you have to eat your food with little chopsticks.
Mm-hmm.
How well gets that? Now, and also some people says, well, with a slow feeder, the dog would not get bloat. There is no direct connection of the slow feeder and reducing bloat, but stress and bloat goes together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I agree with Roman on the slow feeders. I don't recommend them either.
It's kind of funny. Each dog eats their different way. So a previous dog that we have, Matilda, her and Mocha, we put their bowls out, and they would eat from the same bowl. One would go first, one would go second, depending on how much they would eat. And then the other would go. It was like they knew to share, and then they would go to the second bowl. They never ate from both bowls at the same time. They ate at one bowl. You would eat first, I would eat second until it was done, and then we would go to the second bowl. It was the weirdest thing.
That's
So
also
funny.
something I don't recommend.
But she did it,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
Matilda and Mocha did it, and we're like, okay, it works.
I was kind of shocked too.
Okay.
So,
But with
For
Winky, no, it's we feed her in the morning and at night.
so
for those-
is she available for adoption now?
As my wife would say, yes.
Okay. Great Pyrenees Rescue Society.org, Winky. And now, where is she? Why we haven't been able to see her? All we've seen is you. Are you available for adoption? You have to turn your virtual background. Oh, he left completely.
Okay,
he'll be
so
back.
answering a couple of questions. I see there is a little bit
Thank
of
you, Roman.
confusion. If you have a problem with a dog eating fast, the slow feeder doesn't address the underlying issue. It just makes the dog eat slower, doesn't address the supply issue.
That's correct.
So I recommend if a dog comes in from a, let's call it emotional perspective, and eats fast because of the feeling to eat fast, so nobody else can take it, I would add something as a topper, like kefir, or add some water so the dog switches from eating into drinking first or licking. That calms the dog down. But also I will add more meals into it. Dogs who have, let's call it emotional trauma in the background, when they eat food, they get basically into a panic response or a stress response. What I would do, I would give the dog first something to chew on so they calm themselves down, and then add a meal to it.
Yep.
And then I will add a lunch in between. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because what happens if a dog gets a low blood sugar, he's going to be hungry, he's going to eat fast down. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. So whoever uses it, I'm not telling you what to do and what not to do. I'm just giving you a heads up that it's not
It's actually a very good
doing
point.
what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, you make a very valid point there that a lot of people don't realize or just don't know. We can't expect
Right.
everybody to know what the trainers know.
One of the things that I do with, for example, with Mortimer is I'll give him like a midday little snack of maybe like a quarter cup of kibble. And then I had fresh beef fat that I froze and made little like beef fat popsicles. And I'll put that on top and boil some hot water and pour it on so that it melts over the food. And then there's like some like beef fat water in there. And because he does get hungry in the middle of the day, and that seems to help him just kind of like get through the rest of the day. Okay. And in the beginning, I've only had him for about 2 months. In the beginning, he ate his food really quickly. And he has actually slowed down a lot. So he's gained an appropriate amount of weight. And I think, that was part of the reason why he was eating really fast. But this, that midday snack is something that I took from you from an earlier episode, Roman. And it has been really helpful. And so that's something that was interesting, giving him not only a snack, but for like cognitive function for a senior, having a little bit of fat in the middle of the day. And I mean, he thinks he's won the freaking lottery over here, but but I just watched how helpful that is.
Well, we have already the keyword seniors and puppies. Let me make the connection. In Greek, we have a saying, it's called palipedismos, which means being a child again. And that applies to senior dogs. So one of the first things that you notice with the dogs in cognitive decline is they behave like puppies or have accidents like puppies. They roughhouse like puppies. And this is one key that we say, oh, wait a minute. They're perked up. Not really. Because with that early decline, senior decline, there can also get behavior problems coming with it. However, let's wind back a little bit and get a little bit deep tissue. When we talk about senior dogs, it's not a blank statement. My dog is 12, therefore he's a senior. So smaller dogs have a different lifespan than large breed dogs. And I think we should take that in consideration. Check the dog's average age. And when the dog is on that end corner of that age, you're definitely dealing with a senior dog. But you can also have a dog who is very beyond senior. I mean, I have dogs who were 16 years old and the lifespan was 11, right? And so from that perspective, our goal is to make the dog's senior life easier. So think away from fast food, help the dog eat healthier. And that's the whole point here. Because with age, there are several things that come into the equation. Besides having behavior problems, we also have health issues. And I think the earlier you start feeding healthier, the healthier senior you're going to have. Carbs do a bad thing to seniors. They're going to have joint pains. You will not see the pain, but you will see the behavior that is not showing. The dog will not get easily up. The dog will not play a lot. The dog doesn't want to walk a lot, right? And so while we think, oh, my dog settled down and eased down and slowed down a little bit, it's actually a bad sign. I see, why is he not playful? Why is he not running, right? Why is he not perked up when I'm coming home? And then we see when the dog tries to get up, he puts all his weight on the front legs because he cannot lift himself with the back legs. We see the dog is easily flattened down at every opportunity instead of being standing up. Also, some things people want to have the dog to sit to get a treat, and the dog doesn't sit to get a treat. Oh, he's stubborn. He's like a Pyrenees. No, maybe he's in pain and sitting is not feel comfortable, especially if the floor is slippery and the hair is very long on the legs. It's that they don't have enough power on the back legs, so all of a sudden they kind of slip backwards, which means they're going to lay down or they avoid sitting in the first place. The next thing we're going to see very often is dogs become crampy. We have a young dog in the house, we have a child in the house, we have visitors in the house, and he has to get up and bark about it. Come on, man, how about you guys go away? Bark, 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 bark. Make things go away so he doesn't have to deal with it. So if the dog gets louder, if the dog changes behavior to the worse, if the dog starts being crampy, growling, it's not because it's a bad dog, it's because likely there's a medical underlying conditions. So what I would do, first thing, going to the vet and insist to a full panel thyroid test. Guardian breeds are prone to have hypothyroidism. And not only T3 and T4, like the whole full panel. The earlier you do it, the better, because you're going to have a baseline. And based on that baseline, you can compare it for later. Unfortunately, many veterinary professionals say, oh, he's fine, he doesn't have anything, because they rely on the site of hypothyroidism. But the first thing you're going to see is not the site, is the behavior shift. And that's what we have to look for. From a behavior perspective, the first thing you're going to see is the behavior shift and the behavior problem, growling, barking, being resource guarding, being more territorial. That's an alarm clock ringing here. And that's why I said, go to the vet. And then the vet comes like, oh, he's fine, he's healthy, no problem. I want to see the tests. Oh, he's only D3, D4. What happened to the other test? Oh, he thought it wasn't necessary. Okay? So insist. You are your dog's advocate, and cutting corners will not help you get a real understanding of what's happening, because if your dog bites someone, the vet will be the first one who says we have to put him down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because he's not be able to handle it. You will not be able to go to the vet if he's going to that level. So the other thing that we're going to look for is usually people, when the dogs decline, they want to have him meet the young puppies, right? Because, well, he has 2 years left, but we can get a puppy so they can teach each other, right? Imagine, would you give your grandfather a baby to take care of? They will not have the patience. right? So think about that. Your dog is not a nanny to your puppy because it wasn't the dog's choice. No matter if it's a female or a male, some dogs don't take it lightly having another loose cannon in the house. They have to worry about things, and they can
Yeah.
get very crappy about that. So don't throw the puppy to the dog and trying to figure it out. I would say your puppy has to have a certain level of emotional regulation to be led to the senior dog to deal with. Because the first thing a puppy is going to do is going to play with the senior dog, and the senior dog cannot get up. And now we have a friction, and then we have a behavior, and then we have a problem, and then we have an injured puppy. Plus,
Yeah.
The dog gets, and the other dog gets blamed.
right. And if the senior dog starts growling and biting the puppy for obviously natural things to happen, then the puppy gets also the wrong message because he thinks that's how you solve problems. So the whole thing gets to the next level. So I would say if you want to get a puppy, get a puppy. But it's not your senior dogs to take care of your puppy.
Right.
It's your responsibility. And once the puppy is up to speed with the cues that the senior dog understands and the senior feels comfortable and safe around the puppy, then you can start having supervised playtime. And supervised doesn't mean just looking, actually physical intervention. So if the puppy
Right.
gets rough and the senior dog tries to avoid the biting, this is your time to step in and take the cues of a senior dog and call the puppy out. Puppy timeout, let the puppy rest, let him cool down a little bit. And remember, puppies have to sleep at least 19 to 20 hours, right? And our senior dogs have to sleep for 18 to 20 hours because they're older to process more.
Right.
So imagine the senior has to take care of business and then have to deal with a puppy who will not get the sleep and is going to get sore throats and it's going to be a problem. Now, what happens with senior dogs also is that we make the assumption and we let it slide very often because we're used about the dog and slowly behavior sneaking in and we don't see it, right? And then we have one day a visitor and one barbecue, and all of a sudden our senior dog lashes out and growls and bites someone. Okay, he snapped at someone, but we know things can escalating from snapping to biting, and all of a sudden now we have a crisis. And in the heat of the moment, the dog has to go, like tomorrow. Like, what will he do to my kids? And what he will do to my senior parents? Now they pay attention to protect the senior parents, but they don't think to protect the senior dog.
Yeah.
So that's why if we have a rescue, we are a rescue or we are a shelter, and we see there are people interesting to a senior dog, they need to have a serious sit down and talk about that and say, hey, senior dog is not just a dog that you want to rescue. It's not an emotional choice. We want to make sure that you understand what it needs a senior dog to have his new needs met. He has a different needs.
Right. Well, and I think, as the human, the adopter needs to evaluate, is this just a selfish decision because I want my senior dog to teach this new puppy so I don't have to do as much. Plus I'm worried about, losing my dog. So I want a smooth transition, but they're not thinking about things from either of the dogs' perspectives. And that's where the issues lie too, is because this needs to be the whole picture, because everybody's life and their quality of life matters, whether it's the puppy, whether it's the senior dog, and everybody has to work together. So sometimes we have people who, they have a 14-year-old dog and they want to adopt a 9-week-old puppy. And I'm like, maybe you just need to wait, because you're not going to have, you have to invest in the puppy. And so your poor senior dog needs to have a gentle sunset. And so that's the other thing too.
So if we want to get the most out of the senior dog, feed healthy, you're going to have less problems. You're going to have a happier dog. A yeast infection and ear infection would basically a problem if kids coming over want to hug the dog because they haven't seen him for a while. And then all of a sudden we have a behavior issues. Yelling, screaming, car horns, smoke alarms, that can do a lot of harm to a senior dog. It's very frustrating and very upsetting. Plus, we have to remember that this dog is 24/7 a guardian. Okay. Now, I notice that guardian breeds seniors who were previously in a farm as puppies are more sensitive to new triggers. Remember in the very beginning, I said this, being a child again, the dog will remember his original imprint. And because of senile decline, he will not remember what he learned in between. He will remember what made the most emotional impact. And suddenly we see a dog who all of a sudden he was friendly and now he's not. He was good in the daycare and now he's not. He was good with strangers and people. We well socialized him and now he's not anymore. So it's not the dog, it's the decline that happens, the cognitive decline. And you can go online and search. There's a lot of conversations happening what to do about the dog. I believe healthy food. I say the F word, healthy as F, as you can, you afford, right? Then you want to talk to your veterinarians, likely holistic veterinarians, to skip vaccinations, to do a detox, right? He's not going to die from rabies, right? If he hasn't yet so far. It depends on the environment. But we know from now that many vaccinations last for more than 10 years. And your dog doesn't have to be exposed to those things anymore. He only lives in your living room. He doesn't have a problem. And if your senior dogs are not healthy anymore, they shouldn't get vaccinated anyway. It says in the instructions. So wind back, talk to your veterinarian, see if we can do something about it. Or at least once you do the vaccine, do a detox to get this out of the system again. The immunization is there. The toxins are not there anymore. And that makes the dog feel functional better. Nutritional wise, I would definitely add everything that you have available that has the name senior on it because it's so specifically formulated. So nutrition wise, we want to go with senior diets, right? Also supplements for seniors, omega-3s and glucosamine. But not all these things are the same than the other things. So you want to make sure the source where it's coming from, since those supplements usually are not regulated. Everybody can claim things we don't know. So search around and talk to somebody who has an understanding around that. Sometimes those businesses being bought out and the quality lowers. So you have 5-star reviews last year, and then all of a sudden you have 1-star reviews. So read the news reviews and see what people talk about that.
Yep.
Okay?
No, I
And
just want
think-
to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Ron.
Yes. And
I was
think
wondering-
about your dog. Go ahead.
I'll shut up
finish
now.
Steve.
I just wanted to clear something up. Roman's not an anti-vaxxer. Roman is an anti-over-vaxxer. Okay.
I'm a smart vaxxer.
Yeah, we don't want to over-vaccinate the dogs. Personally, I do titer testing. I have a 12-year-old senior of Great Pyrenees here that hasn't required to have rabies vaccination because I'm in a state you don't have to have it unless the dog's got a bite history since she was 5, and she's 12 now. And that's through the titer numbers. Now, keep in mind, you do titer testing and numbers are down, then you got to pay for the vaccination over and above the expensive titer test.
Mm-hmm.
So
in
rabies
general,
vaccine worked.
And we want to also make sure that we understand the prevention and flea prevention and toxin preventions, right? And I believe in doing prevention systems and not prevention tools, right? And if a dog is a senior dog and he's exposed to those toxins, that makes even faster decline. He's going to have allergies, he's going to have leaky guts, he's going to have toxic reactions, and we don't know how they look like. They can be from normal to severe. It's so extreme that actually FDA has put out an announcement to be very careful about prescribing those prescription preventatives. That said,
Yeah.
I'm out.
The
Now
other
there's-
thing that I have noticed with Mortimer is that, and I've joked about him, he gets on my bed and then puts his butt on my pillow. But the practicality of it is that he has some arthritis and he had an old fracture that didn't heal well on a back leg. So when he lowers himself, he does it very, very slowly. And it actually is an extra support when he puts his butt on the pillow instead. It makes it easier for him to lower himself to a sleeping comfortably state and for him to get back up. And so he has, I don't know if you can see that, but the type of, he has a gigantic dog bed, but it's the kind that has bolsters on two sides. So he can do the same thing. If he could get on there and lay comfortably and also get up easier because he has a little bit of that cushion boost. And it took me a little bit to realize that's what it was. And then one time I really watched him lower himself and how slowly and carefully he was doing it.
Yep.
So I think that's something that is helpful to think about too, is as your dog ages, what are the physical assistance elements that you can have in your home? I also have a rug that is a runner that goes from his bed to the hallway, which the hallway is carpeted, so that he can feel like he can get up and walk safely and get a grip rather than be on the wood floor. Yeah. So these are the kinds of things that sometimes when we see them, being afraid to move from one place to the other, it's because they have less ability to manage a slick floor. But it's happened so gradually that all of a sudden we're looking at something and we're like, well, why aren't you moving forward? Why don't you, go this way? You used to walk that way all the time. Well, it's just because it's been a slow decline. And now they've got to the point where they are afraid to slip. So as Roman mentioned, sometimes their paws are extra furry on the bottom. Yep. So sometimes as they get older, that fur you need to trim, so that it's easier for them to get a grip on their pads. Or sometimes you do something like this where there's just a rug runner, so there's a dog highway. But these are the kinds of things that when you have a dog who's 5, you don't really have to do. But when they're 9 or 10, like he is, those kinds of things make a huge difference in his quality of life, because then he's not stressed about how to get from point A to B. He knows he has these avenues of safety, and he knows he can comfortably get up and get down from the bed.
I like that. Plan in place.
I have to go, so thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Roman.
And,
wow.
And if you guys have any questions, you always can reach out through my email, roman@holisticdogtraining.org.
Yep.
And good luck.
Hey, tell your next session we said hi at the rescue show.
Bye.
Bye. Wow. Okay, everybody. What a show we had today. Roman, if you don't learn from Roman, if Roman talks and you don't learn something, then you're not listening. Okay. It's usually as simple as that. Hi, Amy. How you doing? Now, we had a bunch of Texas dogs on today. Now, Jeff did make a valid point. The Utah ranchers, they put puppies with the older so-called experienced dogs and expect them to do well, and then they don't. So, but a lot going on there. I just hope Roman, I think he did. Julianne asked about how do you slow a dog down from eating without a slow feeder bowl, but I heard Roman answer that. So, and if you have any questions, Julianne, just let us know, okay? And if you want Roman to answer, I'll make sure Roman gets it. He'll respond, and if you don't care who answers, any of us. But there's ways to do it. So, wow. Now, Mr. Chris, what about Winky?
What else do you want to know about her?
Nothing. I just wanted to see you unmute your mic.
But thank you so much for Chris
Thank
for
you.
sticking it out and
Jessica and Christine,
evaluating
both of everybody.
what does this
So-
dog need.
It's really funny. As a foster, let me talk from a foster. We love the dogs, okay? But as a foster, the organization here, starting with Steve and everyone else, you, Sydney, and everything, have been so supportive when I had a lot of issues going on. And the question you got to ask yourself, if I don't take care of this dog to get her or him in a good place, who will? And my big thing is, it's a calling. When people foster, it's not because, you're making a $50 million contract. It's because you really like, helping another being, the dogs. And there hasn't been a dog that we have fostered that, if we look back, they didn't appreciate us. And that's all you can ask for.
The reason I brought Amy up with Gary. Gary's the Great Pyrenees or an Akbash, one or two, I don't remember now. But he just had hip surgery. Replacement surgery. And I think I read that he had both hips replaced.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, but she's in Utah. And we got to get them to come on the show again one of these days, huh?
Yeah, that sounds great.
They're them and Mountain Mamas. But Christine and Jessica, thank you guys she just said both of them.
Yep.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Do we get that?
And when they become adoptable, let's get you back on so we can show them off again.
Absolutely. And just for a recap, I know a lot of people kind of came in a little bit later after we were done. We have Hope right here in the front, Humphrey over here to the side, Hilary right there, and then Henry in the back. The H puppy group with Mom Helena.
And you can't find them on GPRS's website because they're too young right now.
Yep.
But
yep.
keep
Two
your
little
eye
babies.
out. It won't be long. About another 6 weeks probably.
Just about.
And then they're going to stay with you guys, right?
Yes, they will
Okay.
be with us for the time being. Because
Right.
we're just having too much fun.
All right. Amy says she'll come on the show.
Excellent.
So
Good.
that's awesome. So, yeah, but he had both hips replaced. And that happens. What can I say? Well, that's it for today. We had fun. We had a lot of fun. And look at them puppies.
We're tuckered out.
That's how I like my puppy.
Okay, puppies will be posted as soon as they're ready, so stay tuned. And that's right from the puppy posting lady. I think.
So yes, thank you so much. And
All
thank
right,
you.
we're
Chris.
out of here. Everybody, bye. We'll see you the
Take
week
care.
after next.
Yes. I'm taking Father's Day off.
All of us men complain because mom got mom's day off, so we wanted dad's day off. Right, Chris?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and we'll just make everybody think we got a day off, won't we?
Yeah, I got 3 boys, and we'll see what they do for me.
There you go. All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.